welcome everyone to our panel discussion of this month, March 2025. The topic is why are you still working with us? Have you ever asked your questions this question, right? So I know we have different format and different way of collecting our feedback from the customers and metrics to evaluate it and everything. And so this question is so overloaded with everything and being more direct and most likely will get caught the customer and also the person who's asking, right? So both in a a way that um, make you think hard and come out with what are the reasons, right? So on the other side, it's very easy to understand this topic, in my opinion, right? But a lot more difficult to answer unless you have thought through the whole thing, right? Unless there are a few things that comes to your mind immediately, to share. So with that in mind, let me introduce a little bit more about the topic and bring the panelists into the discussion. So why are you still working with us, right? Is a powerful and often overlooked question. It shifts the focus from transactional feedback to loyalty and uncovers what truly resonates with your customers, right? What we think customer receiving and what they actually receive, right? That's the that's a gap, I guess. So understanding the answer to this question can help you strengthen your relationship with your customers, improve offerings, and create a competitive edge. In the fast-paced world of business, customer loyalty is no longer guaranteed. Research shows that 65% of customers leave a brand due to poor experiences, even when they are satisfied with the product or service. However, a staggering 80% of customers say they are more likely to stay loyal to companies that truly understand them. We want to explore how seeking a feedback that allows you to understand the true intentions of your customers help in building loyalty. To do that, we have four panelists with us. Let me give you a brief introduction of each one of them. Um, First, Alvin and Deepak David. Alvin is a seasoned Six Sigma and digital consulting professional with 2 decades of experience driving business innovation using new generation technologies across verticals like financial accounting, contact centers, insurance, human resource, payroll, and benefits and banking. He currently functions as a vice president at FirstSource. He has had stints with organizations like Alorica, Capgemini, Own Habit, Exchanging Technologies, and Accenture. We look forward to hearing your views to this panel, Alvin. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And second is Harshal Thorat. Harshal specializes in BPO and call center services, and his mission is to transform how businesses engage with customers and manage sales process through clear, direct communication. His expertise includes customer service, lead generation, outsourcing, customer support, and virtual assistants. He currently functions as a CEO of The Connections. We are happy to have you with us today, Harshal.
Yeah, thank you so much, Uttamam. Happy to be here. Looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you. Um, Our third panelist is Vikram Das. Vikram currently functions as the managing director of Space Tiles that helps clients better their workspaces. He has worked with multiple multinational organizations in helping their workspaces. He has had multiple senior executive stints with Steel Lease, Armstrong, Wold, Rogue, and Aspire Systems. We look forward to hearing your views on this panel, Vikram.
Hi, Uthaman. Great
Hi.
to be here as a part of this panelist with fellow presenters as well. And I look forward to a great discussion and where our experience can help persons make their journey easy with the customer in terms of getting or giving their customer a better experience and better process oriented results.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Last, fourth panelist is Umar Ibrahim. Umar functions as the Associate Director of Program and Project Manager at LTI Mindtree. He's a PMP certified project manager with around 13 years of experience in project management, client liaising, implementation and delivery of projects. Prior to LTI Mindtree, Umar has had stints with Levinora, Shamina C. Sai Technology and Syswine Technologies. We welcome you to this panel, Umar.
Thanks, Uthaman. Glad to be a part of it. Hope I
Mm.
can share my inputs
Yeah,
and that will be useful for team.
absolutely. Yeah. So now we jump into the the discussion. So discussion will have like a five major discussion points. So first we'll start with the one where we'll take input from all of you. So the discussion point is almost all of us focus on why customers leave, but understanding why they stay is just as important or more important. What are some innovative ways organizations are uncovering the reasons behind customer loyalty? Can you share any examples from your own experiences? Yeah, any one of you can start.
Yeah, I'll start.
Sure, Ashal. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's a proactive approach that we should look at. That's what we look at because we just don't deliver services. We deliver values. We deliver trust. The contract has its own place, but it's a human trust that gets between two organization to business. Earlier when we started, we were looking at as a client, but and client was looking as a vendor. But eventually, over the period, we realized it's a partner. It's a partnership that we get into. And I have a client, to give you an example. I have a client, to whom I am serving from last 13 years, from the inception of my business. We started small, and they are still a big contributor. We've not just, the client has not just stayed with us. They have also grown with us. We have grown with them. So every time that we meet, it was a proactive approach. It was insightful. It was a data-driven points that we shared. Everything, what's new on the table. So it was not just looking at the numbers, what we have done in the past. So I think the clients are more interested in looking at what we will do in the future. What kind of the breach that will bring in the future. And so on a humor side, if I have to say now, whenever I used to meet my clients, they know that, they get kind of scary kind of feeling, this guy will bring something new, will make us work, will make entire team work. And that's how, but that has been interesting. And if you are open to communication, if you really share, what is the real insight, what is the real value, it works. To add on it, the AI. So AI is making a lot of hype and making a lot of changes in the market. And we knew that clients will reach out, asking us the about AI, but we proactively reach out to them and told them this is the current trend that is going, and this is what are the pros and cons of it, and this is what the cost involved, and how this can help us, how this can't help us. So I think that has, so whenever they go in the market and they interact with the competitors, I'm sure they would keep our insights in mind, and that has helped us. And the
Right.
last point to add on this is keeping the human side of our, that alive. It's not just day-to-day interactions. We become as a family, and keeping managing their birthdays, anniversaries, and the special occasions, even as a business level, a special wishes in the even. So I record a video and I greet them on the birthdays, and that really so every time I want to wish my clients, whether it's a 1-year-old client or a 13-year-old client, I see some creativity, because that shows that you have a special place in our association, in our hearts, and that's what
Yeah.
we look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's from my side. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one important aspect. Like in the recent years, having a video, way of communicating, is like a lot more powerful, and you have a little bit of a personal touch, so
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 adding
yeah,
to what Mr. Herschel told, yes, the product and services part of it is the solution that we are offering, but the experience part of it, how we make the customer feel, what is
yeah,
the experience that we are delivering to the customer, makes us on a top of mind recall for them. So
yeah,
the end which Mr. Herschel told, that how the relationship and bonding develops from there is how you make your customer feel about you as a person, as an individual, where relationship and bonding helps you take the relationship forward, take the engagement completely forward.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Adding to that, see, it brings in a lot of confidence in each and every one of us to ask this question to a customer. So not
Yeah,
everyone can go and ask this customer like,
uh,
why are you staying with us? We cannot go and ask every customer, right? So everyone cannot go
yeah,
and ask. So we need a lot
yeah,
of confidence in our work and our quality and the work that we're doing, how satisfied we are. So we are obviously expecting a positive response from the customer. That's why we go and bring this question to the customer and put him in front of us.
yeah,
So
yeah,
obviously, see, if you see answer apart from loyalty, there are a lot of answers that we could expect. But one key thing which I notice is should be the attitude of the team member, like attitude of the how we approach the things. Like, so it's not like whatever you say that we'll do something that's something that is different. So what attitude we carry with the customer, what kind of professional relationship. So that matters a
yeah,
lot. Is what I felt that that is making them stay with us.
yeah, yeah. So the other interesting point, when you say this one, coming to me is so when you are able to ask this question to your customer, that means so you are really being in touch with the customer, right? Meaning this is not a question you can go just ask out of the blue. So it's just not going to work that way, right? So you have to have a relationship, to ask this kind of a question, and that helps you bring out a lot of good points, right? Sometimes we have got answer from the customer saying hey, everything is good, and but then we are coming across these are the new features from the industry, so what about them, they could help us. So there are chances that a lot of new features have been rolled out, but it was never communicated because their line of business and their way of interacting with our product or services could be in a different way, that these things never crossed our mind to keep them informed. So it could be as simple as that, right? So uh, keeping them informed about the new ones, and so making sure they are informed, and also they are feeling part of the journey, so that will take us a long way. So
One is, I mean, rightly said, agree to all the panelists here and listen to what you said. One is having that line sensitivity for you to go have those discussions. That is one. But then what we should also understand, and what is the focus is the backend data, the backend team that work, right? So if I'm not comfortable to ask those questions, even if I'm having a good conversations or sensitivity with the client or relationship with the client, I
yeah,
would not do that, right?
yeah,
The back, I mean, Harshan made that point. The backup that I have, knowing that my processes are delivering what they, knowing that we are meeting the SLAs, knowing that there's no customer, we are retaining the end customer, right? That is a collaborative view that I think, I mean, at least my organization is starting to take, wherein we are now going and facing the customer. They say, right, you face heads on. You face heads on, ask those critical questions, even if again, one is it could turn out to be in favor of you, it could also be a disaster, but then let go of something that you're not able to do, right? In asking those questions, we might lose customers because there might be customers coming back and saying, well, you've asked, here's what you've done wrong, and we might be able to do that, and we'll discuss it later. But then to have that mentality to go and challenge what we say as status quo, right? That is very, very important. And
yeah,
and that's where this topic is very, very close to what I do and what I've been doing for quite some time. Yeah, and as an organization, we are in this.
yeah, true, yeah. So I always believe in one thing, so do things when you can rather than when you have to. So
Yeah.
um So just you have a little bit more of a control to have a time on your side, to take corrective measures if there is anything lacking on your side, if there is anything to be improved. So to make sure that customer is really happy, so things like that. So that's always good. So
It
that we'll move.
also, and to add on to it, it also helps to evaluate clients' attitude towards us and the confidence they also carry on us. So it's mutual. At the same time, it is self-evaluative as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You know, just to add on this, even before, getting into these questions, even if we first thing that I'm sure everyone would ask ourselves why this client should stay with us, if all things are there, why they should stay with us. And if we define those questions and answers right, and, if we, it is also important that our team are aligned with our thought, on these questions, and even they are aligned with this same kind of principles that we do, sitting at the top. And if they answers in the similar manner and they take care of our clients, I'm sure our interactions, those monthly or quarterly interactions go smooth, and we are sure that the team is driving our culture. So that also
Yeah,
do a lot of value additions,
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
just asking to customers, but ensuring that our team is also aligned with our thought is my
Aligned.
point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The culture is very, very important,
Yeah,
Harshal, because
yeah,
and that's the only way you can manage the same way of communication and the relationship from all part of the company, right? Otherwise, as a one person, you can go do something, but that's not going to be enough, because they are not going to be interacting only with you, right? It's going to be the interaction is going to
yeah.
be with touch points, and you want to make sure they feel the same way, and the culture plays a big role there. Yeah.
There is a customer who has traveled in the for a long, around 9 years for now. And at one point of time, I had the guts to ask this question, what made you see the things different in me that I'm still continuing with you? This is the seventh project that I'm doing with you, and what made you choose me? And he said, when from competition we turned out to you, you proved to be a better solution provider, and you also come up with things out of your way which are not even in your book of things to do. But when somebody is suffering and the project delay is happening, and you take the responsibility on how to streamline things to get aligned to the D date which we have mentioned. So those extra mile things where without even we telling you, taking the responsibility also matters. So that's what we as a management see in a partner like you to engage in all our future projects as well. And
Oh,
that was a great feedback, and very evaluative comment from them as well. When you put yourself to the core to serve the customer in the dire need, will take your relationship further and the bonding gets stronger. Irrespective of the
yeah,
competition, I may be pricier than the competition. I may be short of a couple of solutions from the competition, but still I am preferred because for what I stand for. So
yeah,
that kind of experience, once we, that kind of engagement level that we promise our customer, then definitely we are the go-to guys for them as well. So that
absolutely. Yeah.
experience helps them balance out
Bring that.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so not it's not about what are the different solutions, right? Because at any point of time, not all companies are going to have all solutions. Everybody is going to have their strengths, and so there are going to be instances where we don't have certain things, but it is also very important, like you mentioned, to know why customers are sticking with us. What is that they like from us, right? So that means we have to make sure we even go double down on that, right? And make sure that is followed up till all departments are online with that one, and then making sure everybody understands it, and so they all carry the same like you know goal, right? This should be the topmost priority, because that's how customers are perceiving us. You make sure you you make it very explicit, right? So we all do the same. We all are working for the same goal, things like that. So that makes it a lot more easier.
I
Okay,
think
so that, yeah, go ahead.
just one point there. I think and the
Sure.
key here is the hyper personalization is what we call, right? And I was
Yeah,
having a good discussion with one of my colleagues. For instance, something like a Mintra, right? Or even for that matter, Swiggy. And this happened to me last, I think, couple of weeks back, where I use Swiggy like day in and day out, right? There was some issue with the order, and without even asking what the issue was and stuff, what they did is they just said, Alvin, here's the refund, and it just came into my account. That is the interaction that I'm looking at. Even if it is to what Vikram said, even if the competitors are pricier, right? I would want to go with somebody who gives me that hyper personalization, right? To believe that, yes, I am right, even if I'm wrong, right? That you don't get. The moment you connect that and the moment that becomes a click between the customer and the end consumer, that is it. They're going to be there forever, right? So that hyper personalization is very, very key. And you'll see that in Mintra when you have to, Amazon for that matter, when you have to do, let's say, a refund, it's so seamless,
yeah, yeah,
right? That is how you need to. One is, yes, again, I'm going back to my point. You can have, you know, I can be a very good communicator, have the relationship that I have with you, but then if my backend process is not up to the mark, this will go off after a certain time, right?
yeah,
The entire team, the entire organization should be up to those challenges to ensure that there's a process that is put in place. That scalability has to be there, right? So again, that is, I think, is one of the key things is to create a hyper personalization for us to retain customers and for our loyal customers to be with us.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So with that, we'll move to the next discussion point. The this one is Arshal, is that for you? And so others, please, if you have something, feel free to. The discussion point is like this. Metrics like NPS and the retention rates gives us trends, but they don't always capture the why behind customer behavior. How do you balance hard data with the qualitative insights like interviews, sentiment analysis, or even agent conversations to get a picture of customer loyalty?
Okay. Uh, okay. So this question is to me, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. 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 So I can relate this story with one example. One of our clients, who is with us for a long time, they wanted to do NPS, for their customers. Now, it was NPS is all about one question, or would you recommend and how much would you score? But then, we executed their project for a couple of months, and then we went with the optimization. We went with the solution to them. Why are you just asking these questions? It was a manufacturing company, and then we, added some questions to it. We changed the name, so let's not name it as a NPS. Let's name it something else. But then, let's have a key point where I've asked them, I've customized my questionnaire, just about 3, 4 questions I've added. So is your problem resolved? Yes or no? Was my engineer reached on time? Yes. Is your machine working fine after 3 days? Because I started taking feedback not immediately after 3 days. So now customer started, saying me yes, yes, yes to everything. And then how much would you rate? And now customer is rating me 6 or 7, and that was a counter because earlier process was just asking them rating and capture it and leave it. But then this gave me a counter question. So you said yes to everything, and then you gave me 7. So what is the reason? And that's so then either customer gets corrected, or he brings the real problems to me. Then he says, but it took me almost 5 days to register a complaint. Yeah, it took a couple of visits to resolve my problem, and that was a real, that's what customer wanted out of this NPS activity. And we did some trial. Presented the solutions. We did some sample size, and today, almost monthly, I am capturing 60, 70,000 feedbacks. It was supposed to be a sample size of 10K feedback, NPS feedbacks, but now because of this proactive approach, with value additions, with analytics, and with the key points, who is performer, who is not performer. So basic analytics are available anywhere, everywhere. But when you go into the deep of solutions, when you make it, as Alvin said it right, when you make it hyper personalized and when you get involved in it, when your team is involved, when you ask the right questions, when you give a right solution, I
Yeah.
think those metrics help. They want the solutions. They don't want clients don't want generic, metrics. How much you called, how much feedback you received, and what is my NPS score? No. Why my NPS score is this? If your NPS score is 70, why is this? And if my NPS, my detractor is, let's say 20%, then or X number of customers, why are those? Give me those reasons. And these are the root cause. So root
Yeah.
cause analysis has helped us. And I think the same answer goes to your questions where more than metrics, the value additions that we bring on the table are important. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
hope my answer was relevant.
Yeah. 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 So, anyone wants to add anything to it? So we'll go to the
Yeah.
next one.
So
Yeah.
the way I look at this is your specific question on whether there should be a balance between your qualitative and quantitative. Of course, there should, right? Because if you're looking at one in silo of the other, they don't correlate, right? For instance, your NPS, to what Ashil was saying, your NPS might quote a different reason, but what we do, right? And this is something that I wanted to discuss is, as an organization, we invest a lot in customer sentiments. As I said, right, I also take care of the entire sentiment piece. The interactions are here. So interactions are, let's say from a BPO perspective, a customer might write an email to me, a customer might call an agent of mine, a customer might use a chatbot. So all of these are interaction points. What we do is we mine those informations and see in the interactions, have the customer in the past said that they don't like the product? Have they said that your, customer service, there's a lot of delay? So that becomes more of a quantitative data, right? So I have a quantitative data, I have a qualitative data. That
Yeah.
becomes a correlation. When you map both together is where then you go and talk. For instance, let me give an example. We work on a lot of mortgage clients. So one of the verticals that we do is mortgage. So we do a lot of social monitoring. So go into for clients, we do social monitoring on their websites to understand and what are the blogs that's happening and stuff. So we do the content and social monitoring. Uh, Example is I cannot just go with one data and say, okay, let me go and if a customer is calling, go and suggest a loan. But then if I go to, let's say that person's LinkedIn, if I see that the person is open to work, then there's a mismatch in correlation, because while he's calling for something, but he might be struggling with something else. So you'll have to marry both, which is your qualitative, quantitative, and then give a solution. So I think a
Yeah.
balance of both is very, very critical.
Yeah. True. Yeah. It always goes hand in hand. Yeah. So we'll move to the next discussion point. Alvin, this is for you. Like others always like chip in if you have anything to add. The discussion point is like this: knowing why customers stay is only half the
Yeah.
battle. After uncovering those insights, how do you translate them into real changes in your product, service, or engagement strategies? Have you seen an instance where customer loyalty insights led to a major shift in your organization?
Right. I'll take this into two parts. One is obviously, what we do is we do as an organization, we do multiple iterations of interactions, right? So we have an entire process in place, right from identifying what the insights are. So the insights might say, okay, these are actions that are recommended. As part of the strong governance, we do a tracking cadence because, let's say that's a recommendation that we have. Somebody has to go and develop that recommendation, right? So maybe it's an implementation, it's a development that we do. So that tracking there becomes an important thing. After tracking, we need to go back and measure if, let's say, if my NPS was X, after me doing this implementation or suggesting what I promised the client, if I were to go back and track that again, am I seeing a positive shift in the metric, right? So that becomes important for me to measure the effectiveness. And more importantly, the change management, because that is seldomly a problem because from a client end, implementation becomes a problem because they might be issues with change management. From a client side, they may not want to be doing some policy change. For instance, we did one of the clients, one of the recommendations was this is for a retention. So we analyzed the data. We found that, yes, the reason why we were not able to retain, and this is a subscription client of ours, where we were losing a lot of customers. So the client came back and said, how do we go and approach this? We looked into the data. We found that, yes, there are a lot of people who are leaving that particular client because of an offer. Because they also, as I said, in the interactions, they've said multiple times that the offer from their competitors much higher, much lower. So obviously, as a consumer, it's a tendency for me to, as a customer, to go to my competitor. So what happened? We took that. But then the point is, to your question, this is where change management becomes an important. We went on proposing that, for us to keep up with the competitor, we had to reduce the cost. But then because of the policy changes, we were not able to do that. Right. So eventually, while we put everything in place, we put all the mechanisms in place where we analyze the data, but because of the change management, because of the company's policy, we were not able to do that. So that, I think, is a very, very critical factor, because your insights, your customer loyalty insights should align to what your outcome is, which in this case was, right? So that was one of the examples that I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So it's always like you have to have all aspects of it, like to be aligned properly. Otherwise, it's like it can you can
Yeah,
give a different
absolutely.
message. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, policies, organizations,
Yeah.
all of that needs to be aligned to make those changes. Otherwise, data is just the data. If you're not able to sort of recommend and shift that towards your positive impact. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. True. Okay.
So to
Yeah,
add on to what
and
Alvin,
yeah,
sorry,
Yeah.
to add on to what Alvin said, like, the customer engagements from your standpoint of view to the engagement from their standpoint of view, and the changes that happen within the, the relationship that is being carried forward for the duration. It is always not a fixed outcome. It is a changing outcome. When you
Yeah.
engage with the client, and I can take this example. It is a, communication giant from US. The company has been almost around with us for with me for since 2016-17 types.
Okay.
And initially, when we got converted, we cracked the client from the competition. We did a experience session in their current workplace, how it can be bettered, and what are their expectations. So
Right.
at one point of time, all their tick boxes were towards like how change can affect them instead of teams working in silos, how they can easily collaborate, and how spaces can be better to engage them in proper collaboration with their domestic team as well as the international team. So
Yeah.
when that experience gathering was put into, testify the solution, the space has been manifested for. And the second, after 5 years of continuous engagement, we went back to the client asking with the same pointers for the space which we did 5 years back, because change is constant throughout workspace, and people started bringing a lot of technological gadgets to workplace, and they tend to spend more time with iPads, mobile phones, your laptops from desktops got changed to sleeker ones, and the way people engage with their workspaces changed. So to provide in a multi-diversified environment where nobody feels that they are left out, we engaged in the same session, and the client came to us asking that, why are you doing it for the space which you did? I said, like, no, nothing remains constant. When we
Mm.
want our customer to be at the pinnacle of the solution that they are giving the space to their employees, then we also need to be upgraded, and we also need our customers to be, giving the same experience. Take your retention rate for the last 5 years, how employees have been, and before our engagement. You can find any pointers that guide us to make your workplace further better place for people to engage and work. So
Yeah. Yeah.
these kind of thoughts and the level of engagement that you foresee and you put yourself through on behalf of the customer also helps.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Because that's probably not one of the top items that they are thinking through, right?
Yeah.
So So yeah, that's a value add that we bring in as a vendor. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and to add on this, what I believe is the longevity of client relationship is not luck. It's built on trust and transparency.
Yep.
And when the client is transparently shared their feedback, and if you have realized, okay, these are the corrective actions, I think that's the it's an opportunity to win them back and do those corrective actions. I think we should go ahead with those 200% efforts, with those corrective actions. And if those are not relatable, or which are not aligned, if their thoughts are not aligned with our thought, we should be transparent enough to speak on those lines and
Yeah,
get it corrected. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's not like it can never be like luck for a long time, right? Maybe for one
yeah.
time once, and yeah.
Mm.
So
I
yeah,
mean, just to add to that, it has to also be a shift from the customer's point of view, because we might go back and say, I mean, I deal with a lot of AIs and stuff, right? AI also needs a shift now. Customer equally has to be onboarded to how the world's changing, right?
yeah,
And yeah, they might ask for stars and moons and everything, but then the point is they also need to know that their data will be in cloud. Their data will be, I mean, obviously all guardrails put together. Now with the Gen AI stuff, if you don't do it as a competitor, even for a customer, like how a service provider, I'm at the mercy of a competitor. The client is also at the mercy of their competitor for their end customer, right? To what I said. Now, if Swiggy doesn't give me that, then I'll go with Zomato. Somebody else, Blinkit, right? So I will go with people who are innovators, who are changing the way we define work, changing the way we work and stuff, right? So it's equally important for the customer as well. What we do, just sorry for that last point. What we've done is for our customers, we do what is called as an AI forum. So we are part of our client's AI group where we
yeah,
become advisors, and we collaborate together as a client, saying that, listen, here's where your North Star is. This is where you're supposed to be. This is where your vision in the next 2025, 2026. Here, as a company, that I want to be there. Let's collaborate, discuss. And most of the work that we do, where we've seen a lot of success, is on those where we collaborated and then said, let's solve it as a collaborative solution, rather than a client thinking as a siloed solution and me thinking as a siloed solution. So that becomes very, very critical, because the dependencies on both, the accountability is on both.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a good point, Alvin. Yeah, thanks. Now with that, we'll move to the next discussion point. This is for Omar. All of us will definitely agree that turning feedback into action isn't always easy. What challenges have you faced in making customer insights truly actionable? Are there any common pitfalls or roadblocks that prevent organizations from using loyalty insights effectively? Could you share an example where this was particularly challenging?
It's challenging. I have a lot of examples. I'll take the live example. See, first to start with, like we asked the customer for the feedback and they gave us feedback and we devised some action items to resolve the feedback, correct? So we are
Mm,
good so far. Now the real game comes in only when we start executing this. So we
yeah,
start executing this, we start facing repercussions for the team. Then there'll be some policies which is against the client's interests. They cannot align because other customers are in towards that process. So a lot of challenges comes in. So I would like to take it with one simple example which I'm currently facing now. See, the client which I'm working now is kind of interested with the kind of co-location. So that's a buzzword that they're coming up, co-location. See, the world was operating differently since 2019. Okay. Before 2019, we were all with the same single office. All teams were put locally. We were working,
yeah,
and we were showing some amazing results. Client was happy and everything. Starting 2020, right? The work from home thing got it due to this COVID stuff, and we all started working remotely. And we had a chance to build our teams across cities, across countries, where we had a
yeah,
single team deputed in different locations.
yeah,
And world has, yeah, trust me, world has shown tremendous productivity during those years of pro work from home. So that was the operating model since then. Now then suddenly comes a client wants to go 5 years back and they say we want all the teams to be co-located. So that is one of the biggest challenge that we are facing now. So again, now let's go back to the team members and saying that you can be shifted to the prime location or the base location or something like that. Now team members are not interested. If we go to company is not interested. And even though if the company is interested, team members would say that we need these kind of additional benefits to do some. We need to satisfy customers on one hand. We need to make sure the project is alive on the other hand. So these kind
Yeah.
of challenges are always
Yeah.
giving the headache. That
Yeah.
we really feel the pressure would only do executing. And I am in that process for that now.
Right.
So it is really worrisome, but eventually we'll get through that because we need to balance everyone. We need to balance the team, the company, as well as the clients. So it is
Yeah.
such a battle between all these three, but eventually we'll have to go through. That's where our work comes in. We'll have to make sure that the customer is satisfied at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So they always say, right, when the rubber hits the road. So, like, you can have all the technology, all the features, but then, when it is actually put into practice, that's when you will see
Exactly, the
uh,
challenges.
everything has to go through that phase. Yeah. 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 Anyone want to add anything to it?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I
we'll.
can add to it.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh, we never expected COVID to happen, and we are having a spurious business that year. And all of a sudden, there was a lockdown. The companies that has given us purchase orders for us to deliver wanted to have a different delivery model where they have placed us, products to be delivered to their campus. The entire supply chain was disrupted to deliver at individual employees' home throughout India, wherever they are. So it created a continuous disruption within the our entire supply chain itself to have the delivery done within that part of time when they were all working from home, and the customer who has believed us in getting that done, we created a complete project roadmap to deliver at home. We were not doing any retail or home delivery or any home solutions. We were come through our expertise in corporate delivery, but that thing helped us to visualize thing and change everything internally. And during that time itself, we launched an online platform to get things delivered at home, so that our sales also picked up. So
Okay.
from that disruption, there was an experience. We learned a lesson, and we started doing business at a different level, where our engagement levels with our customers were much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
True.
these kind of challenges opens up new paths for business.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, new opportunities. Absolutely.
Yeah, from a
Yeah.
service point of view, just one point, and I totally agree with Kumar and Vikram. One point is typically when we talk to the client, the first question that we ask is, why me? Right? Why are you trying this on me? Right? All AIs and Vikram, you made a very valid point. I was there, when this entire thing happened and the entire COVID stuff. In fact, the border was closed. We came back, and then when I came back, at that time, the norm was no work from home, right? From a service provider perspective, client will say, no, no, we want everybody, which is a brick and mortar, they need to be in the office, no work from home and stuff. But then that changed the entire perspective. And to what I think Umar was saying is the productivity shot up so well that we were able to do so good with working from home because we didn't need supervisors. We found a way to have online supervisors. Supervisors could talk on Teams. All of this was not heard of, unearthed of, right? So if let's say if I were to talk 4 years back saying that, you know what, we will take calls from a contact center perspective, right? We'll take calls from home. You'll have your dogs barking at the back end. You'll have your family members in one room. And I literally saw that, where there were people who were not prepared for this. We send the laptops, we send the desktops home. I still remember those days. We send the entire system back home. And then there were guys who were staying in a single bedroom place with entire family members. So TV would be on. But then we still took those chances because that's the way we could do a difference. But now it's become a norm. Right now, so again, going back to saying, why me? Why am I the guinea pig in a customer? Why are you testing that? Still prevails, but then I think COVID has changed that entire dynamics of how the customer is thinking now from the point of view that we've changed all of this. If it's not
Yeah.
me, then you're going to do something. So we do what is called as uh, early birds. So we have these customers, Uthaman, you know that. So we have customers who are part of this group and say, okay, the customers themselves now come back and say, I want to be trying all of this. It's the new technology. I'm the one who wants to try, because they want to be early masters at this. They want to make that as a difference. So, that's an interesting fact there as well. Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Omar,
True. Yeah.
for sharing.
Yeah. There's always some challenges, like, when you're introducing something new, but the exciting part is, like, so you get to be the pioneer, like you mentioned. So yeah, so that's a good balance there. So okay, so the final discussion point is, like, we'll start with Vikram. Most organizations still rely on surveys to gauge loyalty, but customers don't always express their thoughts that way. Have you used other approaches like behavioral analysis, sentimental tracking, or even frontline employee observations to get deeper insights into customer loyalty?
Yeah. Whenever we get into, see, workspace is my major focus area. So whenever I get into an workspace, I take the client for a walkthrough for how people behave in their workspace, basically. So I engage with client on a general level initially to make him part of this experience, so that he
Mm,
is also thinking in the perspective, the way the solution needs to be given. So
mm,
the people behavior at workspaces, like the keeping their workspace completely cluttered. They will have their phone, kerchief, bags, everything on their spaces. So workstation is not simply a workstation. It is the place where one feels self that he belongs there, right? So when you make your customer feel the way, the solution that they need to give to their employer, they become
mm,
part of your team as well. So I
mm,
becomes we there. So instead
mm,
of I see, they become part of us, and they will portray more scenarios than this, how people behave, how solutions has to be transformed for the way the people work, and how
yeah.
teams are disarrayed, how for a point of view we do real estate optimization, where we made customer realize that a 30-seater meeting room never works for any organization unless and until it rarely used. Do you see that some 4 or 5 persons go and occupy the 30-seater meeting room, and the rest of space is mere waste? So instead of keeping those spaces as dead waste, create ways to people engage more amongst themselves without using any additional real estate, or ballparking a space for that particular event. So make flexi spaces, align teams goals, and like they do redundant project testing and all. This for a short period of time, the team comes together and the team goes away. So flexi spaces are a great way to have a short team of 10 to 12 members, to assign them with the fixed desk. It will be like a startup space within that corporate scenario. So those kind of situations where you make the client to imagine and visualize that these are the solutions, the way forward the company needs to drive, where the
Mm,
employee feels more engaged towards work. So
yeah.
when that thought process is set in as a benchmark by taking him as a partner towards the journey, your work becomes very easier. And then comes the dialogue of how to get the space designed for that particular functionality, and how to allocate team members, how functional mapping done with respect to zoning, everything comes apart. So first thing is, like, make them part of the experience that you want to make them foresee.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah. So I guess most of your client would go through that challenge, right? Like, how big should be the like, the boardroom, or the big meeting room, right?
Yeah.
And versus how much it's actually being used. Yeah. So.
Becomes a dead space after a point of time.
Mm,
And
mm.
if you see the engagement spaces placed just opposite to a management person's room, it never gets used.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you have a collaboration space just opposite a CEO's room, will it get used in Indian scenario, which I am speaking, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
we never use those spaces, right? Either we are not feeling encouraged to use that space, rather we are not feeling motivated that there is a CEO sitting, how can I go and do some collaboration there? That is the kind
Yeah.
of mindset people are in even now.
Yeah.
So to change that, there is a change that has been that has to be encouraged from the management perspective as well, that they should be open. And
Mm,
to put things in perspective, there were a lot of cubicles before 4 to 5 years in the workspaces. Now no more cubicles. the team manager sits and work with the team. The
Mm.
project manager sits and works with the team. Only in terms of functional mapping, either the HR heads who have their own functions, or the finance heads, or the CFOs, they have their functional engagement done in a proper room. Rather, the team leaders, the project leaders are nowadays with the team in the open area where
Yeah.
productivity and engagement levels are very high, especially during COVID and post COVID.
Mm. Mm.
So that
True.
kind of a cultural transformation you want to foresee in a space, and you have to make your buyer or your customer feel that from their perspective how they want to make utilization of that space. So once that is done, it is like always a easy walk.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. Anyone wants to add anything to it, or yeah?
So yes, to your specific question, Uttam,
Yeah.
I don't know how many of us know value stream mapping that we used to do as part of what we call as brown paper exercise. So to what Vikram was saying, if there's an issue, we used to call the customer. I used to do that with my stint with previous companies, where we used to have a room, do entire value stream mapping. This is like the journey map, putting the entire process of a customer, saying what we call as a customer life cycle, right? Why a customer is coming, how do they interact with my websites, for instance, how do they
Mm-hmm.
interact with my audit, what is the return, what is the
Yeah.
return process, what happens if there's a billing issue, right? So we map the entire process and then identify what are the value adds that are there for the customers, what are non-value adds, right?
Yeah.
So customer journey is one part of that, and it becomes very, very critical because your question, surveys could be one form of getting the feedback, but other forms could be your insights, right? Journey maps are touch points where you know where the customer is not going through, right?
Yeah.
We also do what we call as engagement rates. So typically on the website, if you see, there are insights that the website gives you, saying how much of a time have you spent time on this particular website, in a particular page on the website. So those gives us engagement to say, why is the customer leaving? Because essentially, if I'm on a website, what I'm looking at as a consumer is for you to go and buy a product. But then why are consumers just leaving that website? Is there a problem with the content? Is there a problem with how the entire interaction happens? So those are critical points where it's not only the survey, to my point, where we can also capture information, right? Lastly, what we also do as part of our customers is we do what we call as customer life cycle, right? We call it as LTV. That is the entire value that the customer provides in what they're buying and stuff. So these are various data points, insights that tell you not necessarily what a survey does, right? This is more of a proactive, reactive. It says before even the customer saying that he's not feeling good about your product. These are touch points that will give you insights which you can consume, put your insights, put your thinking hats on and try and convince, right? So that's essentially what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, Anybody, anything else? Any other thoughts? Okay. So that brings us to the end of all discussion points we have for today. So this is the time we take some questions from the audience, so to make sure they understand and they clarify any questions or doubts that they have come across. Okay, so please be prepared. Like an audience, if you have any questions, please raise hand or send a text, so we'll get them answered. So while you are doing that, I'll take this time to thank our panelists today for being with us. So I know it's not easy to take a couple of hours from the working day, especially month of March. So most of us are racing through the year end and all the pressure and everything. So I want to thank all four of you, for being here. Harshal, Alvin, Umar, Vikram. Thanks so much for being with us today. And there are some good learning today. It's not an easy topic to discuss, and thanks for sharing your experiences. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be useful for our audience in some way or some form. So we will be looking forward to be working with all of you in the future also. Okay, so So thanks so much for all of you. And so let's see if we have any questions.
Hi, good evening, all. This is Kasturi this side. I do have one question here.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Since we are here talking about customers still working with us, so what would you think that they try to recommend us to others? So what all factors are important that the customers stick to us and they even want to recommend us to other fellow customers? Any key factors?
Yeah, I think the critical point, and Kasturi, thank you so much for that question. I think the critical point is the experience, right? Uh, uh, the value that they get from, let's say, a service provider, the experience, and it's more of loyalty, right? At the end, it's the buck for money. So if I'm paying dollars, I need those experience. So it all puts together. Price might be the last parameter, but then, uh, I mean, as I said, right, I was talking about an example. I'm okay for a competitor to be priced more, but then I'm looking at services, I'm looking at customer experience. How seamless is the entire process? So for me, if you're looking at me as a customer, I would look at that than more of a price point.
Sure.
Okay.
Does that help? Does it answer your question?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
So one more question now come
Yeah,
through.
Hussein this side. What's one non-survey method you would recommend for a company just starting to explore customer loyalty insights? So I am particularly interested in learning about methods that are relatively easy to implement.
Okay. So when you, I'll take it up. That was a good question indeed. When you get into a pen paper mode with the customer, a lot of outputs never comes, right? When you engage them in a proactive conversation on how the solution needs to be for them and what are their lookout in terms of aligning your solution,
Yeah.
that solves most of the problem. And when you take a pen paper, put pointers and ask them to point, will this work, will this work, will this work, and as Harshal earlier pointed out, and ask them to rate you, the rating and the question answers never really correlate, then the experience is altogether a bizarre one, right? Then comes the question that why, right? When that why is never answered, you will never get a proper outcome in terms of any research.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for your valuable insight.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
There's a question in the chat. Companies focus a lot on why customers leave, but can too much focus on retention make them less innovative? Should business accept some customer loss as a part of growth?
Yep. Yeah, I think I
Testing,
alluded
testing.
to that fact earlier. Yeah, go ahead.
No, please go ahead. Testing,
I
testing.
was saying, no, finish with you, Pat.
Yeah, see, we'll have to balance that. See, the question, if I understand it correctly, so if you go on to satisfy customer, we might lose the innovation track. So what comes next? Like we have the customer, we satisfy them, and we take them to innovate. So that's the way that I propose. See, you have the innovation path, which is your roadmap for your company to take it up. But client has different vision. So they might be having their set of goals and they have some feedback. You try to understand them, get into their shoes, try to see the problem from their perspective, understand them, and then drag them to the innovation path that you're achieving to. So that's the way which I suggest. So innovation not necessarily come from the client. It comes start from us. So take them to, first start understand, take it into their shoes, understand the perspective, what they want. Tell them confidently that you are part of them and they are part of you. Develop a rapport first of all, and with that rapport, bring them the innovation that would satisfy company's roadmap. So that's what I suggest.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So when you don't limit the solution that you are given for a different client and you are open enough to discuss that with a different set of client. For instance, I have adapted a solution for logistic companies, and I have adapted a solution for telecom companies, and I have adapted solutions for tech grades like IC manufacturers like Qualcomm and other stuffs. So when there is some difference that you see in terms of arriving at a solution for a customer, there is always fair enough to have an open conversation with other set of customer and
Yeah.
get yourself evaluated whether that solution will work for you. So that is the way people get from diversified fields interconnect and evaluate whether the solution that we offer will work for them or not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's better to ask that question and then yeah, get the feedback. Yeah, makes
And
sense.
it's always going to be win-win, right? You will lose a customer because your objective of innovation will not be a key objective for, let's say, a customer, right? So in that case, it's they say, right, it's better to lose a customer than win-win, right? So you don't want to be carrying that baggage as a service provider. So we've done that, right? Because in our journey as well, we've lost a customer because either the customer, most of the time, if the customer was not able to get in place, they're very old school. They do not want to change. They don't want to go on cloud. They don't want AI and stuff, right? But then still want. But then there are certain points we just have to let go. And I think one of the panelists said that a customer is a customer. A 100 FT customer compared to a 5 FT customer. I can't go and tell a customer because you're a 5 FT customer, I will treat you differently. Everybody expects to be treated the same way. So in that, based on your vision, RF, that's a very good question. Based on your vision as your company, you need to know where to draw that line, right? And it's okay to lose you to gain many.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. Just to add on this, as a retention is important, but too much focus can definitely hinder innovation. So innovation has to be on a large scale, for a business, not for prospective client, as Alvin said. So it is a bit natural, some customer loss is natural and drives growth by pushing business. So that's okay. So some loss is natural, but as far as you're balancing retention with continuous improvement, I think that should work.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time it happens, right? Like it happens for a good reason. So so we cannot penalize ourselves for such instances, whereas yeah, and maybe if this happens, maybe there is something better waiting to happen. So yeah, so yeah. Okay, so that brings us to end of our hour, and thank you so much for all your a panelist taking your time to be with us, and audience. I hope you found it is a useful session and you learned something from our discussion today. So we're looking forward to be running more sessions in the future, and so looking forward to talk to you, Harshal, Alvin, Vikram. Umar. So in some future sessions. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thanks. Thank you,
Thank you.
all of you. Thank you, Utpalman.
Thank you.
So looking
Bye.
forward to staying connected. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
Great to be part of this panel.